In this grade 12 English video, we are preparing for the 2025 October-November finals, and we are looking at the exam scope for your paper 1. We are going to cover both English home language and English first additional language. We are going to look at what you can expect in your question paper and how to best prepare for it. With paper 1, like paper 3, is one of those question papers where you don't have the upfront material to go study, but there are some things that you can still do to make sure that you walk into the exam room fully prepared for your examination. But before we get into the scope, for those of you who are interested in one-on-one help with preparation for your examination, I want to recommend my friends over at Chanan Tutoring, who can help you with your exam preparation with one-on-one sessions that you have over WhatsApp. You can contact Mr. Daniel Kanyiso on the WhatsApp number that is displayed on the screen below, and what they offer is the subjects that you are looking at from grade 8 to grade 9, as well as grade 10 to grade 12 for the commercial subjects and maths lit. For both English home language as well as first additional language, your question paper is going to be divided into 3 sections. The first section being the comprehension section. This is your section A. In this section A, you're going to have a prosed or assigned text. This is where they give you a comprehension text for you to read through, and they will ask you questions over. But there will also be a text B, which is a visual text, as most of you would have seen with the past question papers as well as the question papers that you have been writing throughout the year. When you are writing home language, you have to know that these questions are going to be comparative, meaning that you have to be able to compare your signed text as well as your visual text. You have to be able to see the similarities and how do they relate. The questions are going to be sequential, meaning that when you're looking at a question, it's going to go and flow with the paragraphs. So if you're somebody who is a slow reader, you don't have to worry about having to complete reading the whole entire comprehension before answering the questions, because you can go section by section. It is divided into paragraphs, and the paragraphs are clearly labeled. In some question papers, they even label the lines as well, and they will let you know that when you're answering this question, you have to refer to line 1 to line up to line 5, for example. And you also have to make sure that if a question is actually asking you to refer to a specific section, a paragraph, or a line, it is important that you actually do that and not answer with the context of the whole comprehensive text when they're asking about a specific paragraph. And then when you're writing home language, you can expect to have 2 open-ended questions that can go either way. What is important is that you have to make your stance clear. Either you agree or you disagree, and then substantiate. When you are writing first additional, it's going to be 1, and then for each you can also expect to have 1 multiple choice question that can come from either your visual or your signed text. Section B of your question paper for both home language and first additional language is going to be a summary. With the home language, your word count is limited to 90 words, whereas for first additional, it is limited to 70 words. The word count is very strict when it comes to the summary, meaning that you have to count the words and make sure that you write them at the bottom. And I've also seen a very common question where people are asking, what happens if I exceed the word limit? What happens if you exceed the word limit is that what your marker is going to do is they're going to read your answer up until the last word count. So if you're writing home language, they're going to read your summary up until the 90th word, and they're going to cancel out whatever is extra. So if you haven't made enough points in those first 90 words that are above, then you are obviously going to lose marks, because you will see as we are getting into how they mark the summary, they are marking each point. So if your point starts somewhere around the 150th word, or it starts on the 95th word, it means that that point unfortunately is not going to be marked. So for home language, you need to make sure that the points that you summarize, you're going to convert them into a paragraph. It's a paragraph, yes, but it's still going to have the 7 points that are required. But for those of you who are writing first additional language, it only has to be in point form, so you can number your points 1 up to 7. Remember, it's 7 points for 7 marks, so for one mark per each main point, so meaning that you cannot repeat points under no circumstances, and they cannot be a continuation. The last 3 marks is going to be given for the use of language, depending also on how many points that you gave were correct. The best way to summarize is always to give instructional how-to points. So if you can learn that, then your summary will be great. Section C is going to be a longer section for both home language as well as first additional language, in that it has 3 questions. The first one being the question on advertisement. This is usually your question 3. So for both of them, you can expect that the advertisement questions, they're not going to only look at the visual portion of the advert, but they're also going to look at the written portion of the advert. So when you're answering questions, keep in mind that the text of the advert is also very important. You need to be able to talk about both the pictures that you're seeing as well as the text. With home language, usually they will throw in a second advert there just for you to be able to compare the two. Usually it could be the same advert that, or rather they're advertising the same thing, but they're 2 different adverts. So you're just comparing which one will get the attention of the audience better, and you're just doing a comparison. So you will be answering comparative questions, so you have to be ready for that. The next question will be a question on cartoon. The only difference between home language and first additional language with this question is that with home language your frames will be multiple frames, whereas for home language it could be a single frame. A single frame meaning that it could be just four frames that are just given out of a cartoon strip, whereas for home language it could be about 5 rows of 4 frames each. So it's just longer, is what I'm trying to say in a nutshell. It's just going to be longer, but what you can expect is that the format of the questions is going to be similar. You're looking at the cartoon, you're looking at the words, you're looking at their facial expressions, you're looking at the body language, you're answering the questions on everything. It trains you the way an advertisement trains you. Look at the visual as well as the written portion of it. The last question is the one that is on the language editing skills, which will test your grammar, your sentence construction, and your overall use of the English language. And lastly, all the questions may have multiple choice questions as well as open-ended questions. YouTube recommend you more of my videos, be sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below.